everybody, Joel Logan with the Hole in the Ground Terrain. Welcome to our tutorial video on how to make corner ruins for 1 to 285 scale or 6mm scale war games. As you know, I've been making a lot of terrain for the upcoming Robotech RPG tactics game, but I also play a lot of Battletech with my friends, which is the same scale. So let's talk about what you need before we jump into the video. You're going to need just some old scrap foam that you've got left over from projects. It has to be at least 1 inch thick. You don't want to use 1/2 inch or any thinner. But 1 inch or better, 2 inches even better than 1 inch, because you'll be able to make larger ruins. Okay, so just old scrap foam. This is going to be a very inexpensive project to make. That's one of the great things about this tutorial video. Alright. You're also going to need some scrap cardboard. Cereal boxes works good. I've got some stuff left over from project work where we gave out some stuff. Just cut it out. Just something thin that you can mount it on. And the most important tool is a plunge cutter, a hot wire foam plunge cutter. Now I use hot wire foam factory brand, which I really like. But you could also use from like Harbor Freight or buy a very inexpensive one. I think those tend to burn up a lot quicker, but a plunge cutter is essential for working with foam, for carving and making any design. So this is the most expensive thing you'll need if you don't have one already. So with all these tools, and you may see some of the pictures behind me, but you'll be able to make some very good looking, inexpensive terrain. You can see these corner ruins I've made, and you can even make these modular where they would fit together to make larger structures. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump in the video and start building some corner ruins. Alright everybody, we're going to jump straight in. I've got just an old scrap piece of 1 inch foam left over, and like I said, corners are the best thing. Because you've got 2 relatively flat edges. So I'm going to take, these won't be huge, but I'm going to try to get in here where you can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to try to cut fairly close to a square out. Now remember, with a plunge cutter, don't force it or you'll bend the wire. You want to just let it move super slow. Alright, so I'm going to go up. And we're going to try to get us close to a square. The cool thing about working with ruins is it don't have to be perfect. Because what are they? They're ruins. And they're damaged, blowed up, you know. Okay, so I got me a good little corner chunk here. Now, there's 2 kinds I like to make. Some with a floor in it and some without. So for the sake of simplicity on this first one, let's just go around the edges here. And let's make some ruins that don't have a floor in it. And by floor, I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Alright, so let me come out of that cut. And whatever thickness wall you use, you need to use enough where it's going to stand up and be strong. You don't want to make it ultra thin. I'll give it a little bit of thickness. Alright, so you can see what I'm doing here. And let's look at what I've done here. Now, I'm not too happy with that side. It's a little too thick. So let's see if we can trim this up a little bit. That would be a really thick wall. And remember, these are very hot, so you don't want to burn yourself. So that's not too bad of a corner. Now you're going to have a lot of fibers when you cut this type of foam. So they're going to be all over the place, which is alright. It's like a lot of little strings. So we've got a little corner here. Now, in this type of terrain, I always estimate the doors are about 8mm. So from the bottom, let's go ahead and carve us out a door. And I'm just going to eyeball it. This would have been the door leading into the structure. Pull that little piece out. You can see these little things stick to you. And let's make another little fake door on this other side here. Try to make them, there we go. The rest of that building got blowed away. Or it could be modular with another piece. Alright, now what I like to do, sometimes on some of these to designate floors, and that this is bare concrete, I will put just an ultra thin straight line like that. You don't have to do this. Some buildings you may not want to, but sometimes that looks decent depending on the architectural style of the building. Now what I will also do here is we're gonna cut out some small windows here. There we go. And whatever size you use, just be consistent, okay? So if I go up here, I can try to make similar size windows. Now you'll probably have to go out, poke out the little piece in the middle there. You can see some of it's clinging to the hot wire foam cutter. So, see there, I'm going to pull those out. Now you can imagine you can make up a slew of these if you had a Saturday or a little bit of time over a few evenings to work on this. And you talk about costing pennies. You know, this type of terrain be real inexpensive. And hopefully in some other shots I'll show you some of the ruined cities I've been building. In some of the Maycross episodes, I think Reconstruction Blues and some of the others, you know, you have these huge wasteland scenes and some of the artwork from some of the RPG books too. So I'm going to pull some of this out. So you can see this here. A good little corner structure, and this will look good when we mount it and put it on a small piece of cardboard. And sometimes on corners what I'll do for some added effect is I'll just barely hit it with the hot wire foam cutter and make it look a little messed up there. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to shave on this a little bit too. There we go. Take some excess. Now what you generally have to do with all these strings before you try to paint it, you just pull it off with your fingers and get it smooth. Now I'm going to pause the video and we're going to make a set of corner ruins that has a floor in it. And we'll be right back. Okay everybody, I've got another little piece here that we're going to use for some corner ruins. And what we're going to do on this one is we're going to carve a little floor out, and you'll see what we mean as we get into it. So what's going to be different this time is I am only going to plunge about halfway and just eyeballing it so you can see maybe cut to there, and I'm going to kind of eyeball it here, stop right there. Now from this side I'm going to attack it like this. Now if I go too far I'll ruin this piece, so the idea is when I feel it go into the notch I'm going to stop, and I felt it go in and I saw my little piece lift up. Alright, so I've got the top part of the floor, and we can carve on this a little bit and get it a little better there. Like I said, I don't want to poke through it and mess it up. So, and it's alright if these buildings are slanted or at angles. One cool thing about the artwork in the American Maycross is you know, the ruins were kind of slanted like they'd been bent by intense heat or a nuclear blast. So same premise as before. I'll try to get down to the corner. And you just kind of have to eyeball it and fill it as well. But I'm going to go down, but I don't want to go all the way through because I want to have a thin floor that's still intact. Now on this one I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm just going to let the wire slowly burn through. And every now and then you may poke through the wall or floor. As long as you don't destroy it, it's okay. And remember, if you're practicing, what's the worst you're going to do? Mess up a piece of scrap foam. You know, it's not like you're destroying a valuable miniature or model or something. So if you mess up while you're practicing doing this for the first time, just throw it in the trash. You're not hurting anything at all. Alright, so I'm letting it go through. And let's see if we can wiggle this out. There we go. Now we've still got a little bit in here we got to burn out. But the main thing, remember guys, is just to be patient with this. Don't get in too big of a hurry. The more time you spend on it, the better it's going to look. Right, so not looking too bad. Still want to work with it a little more. See if we can burn a little more of this out. Alright, so hopefully you get the idea of what I meant by a corner ruin with a floor left on it. Now remember, the terrain's nice because your mechs can hide behind it. Now if you're playing Battletech, you can have little infantry units. I suppose they might could even fit in here. Now you can see what this is looking like here. Get these scrap pieces out of the way. That's what we're looking like so far. Now I normally don't like to have, focus this in, such a square piece, so we're going to kind of make it look a little more regular and torn up. So I like that look a little even better. Alright, so, and we may even get creative. Let's make a little hole in the floor. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And let's go ahead, and we got to look at where our floor is, but let's go ahead and do some really large, tall windows. Let's do a bunch of those. That'll make it look more like a building. And like I said, you don't have to be perfect on this, because this has been warped by a blast, you know, especially if it's for Robotech. When the Zentradi blasted the earth, you know, it basically decimated everything. So it's been warped and bent. And let's go below the floor here and let's make it some windows down here. You want to try to be symmetrical, but remember, being ruins, you don't have to be. And let's do some windows over here. Right. And like I said, these strings will get all over you like spider webs. Let's do us one or two more windows. Now remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg for making ruined structures. And I've got some really advanced ones I've built I'll share with you in other videos. But just want to show you, you know, if you're new to terrain And if you're trying to make you up a board to play after the invasion for Robotech or for Battletech, I enjoy Battletech. So you can see what this looks like here. And what I'm going to do next is we're going to get some cardboard and cut it out. And we're going to glue the two structures we did down. Then we'll primer them. So let me find some cardboard and we'll get that cut out. Alright guys, so I've got some cardboard. Remember, this could be from a cereal box or anything you've got. And this first one, let's cut us out a little piece for it. I'm going to just hold it on here. Take my old trusty pair of scissors. I'm going to cut out the rough shape here. Now, one thing I've learned when you mount terrain, you never want these flat, sharp pieces. So on the corners, always try to round things and make it look irregular as much as possible. Try not to have straight, sharp lines. So we've got one cut out for our big piece right here. And remember, the smaller the piece you put it on, the less flocking you're going to have to do. Now this piece here, I think this scrap piece is going to work. Left over, you can see that there. So let's cut some of it off. So let's get rid of some of our straight edges on this. See if we can round her up some. Alright. Now let's find some of our glue over here. I don't think I'm going to use hot glue on this. Now this is going to take a while to dry, but with the magic of video, we'll be able to let it dry and come back and start the next step. So I'm just going to glue the bottom of this real good. Got some Aleene's tacky glue here. Let's let that dry. Let's see how that's looking. That's looking pretty good. Get it where we want it. And now on the bigger piece, let's put some glue on the bottom of it. There we go. Yeah, put my glue up. Alright, so you can see we're gonna glue this down good. And I believe our next step will be to, when this dries, just to take our fingers and smooth off some of the fibers and string from the insulation. And then we're going to primer it. Now, remember, you can't use regular primer or this will just melt away. So we'll primer it just by painting it with some black acrylic. So we'll come back after a while when this is good and dry, and we will primer it up. Alright, so we've painted these black. They're still a little wet, but they're almost dry. Now I went ahead and painted the bases black to cover some of the red color of the cardboard I'm using. And the next step is we're going to dry brush it a dark gray. No, you don't want to watch me do dry brushing, so let's go ahead and dry brush it a dark gray and see what that looks like. Alright, so this is what it looks like with dry brush dark gray. We'll hit it with just a little bit of light gray. Dolphin gray is my favorite color from Apple Barrel. But we'll dry brush it with a little bit of light gray, and then we'll start gluing the ballast down. Alright, so we've hit it up with some light gray, and I dry brushed it. Usually I like to go around the edges of the windows, corners of the building, tops of the building. You don't want to do it too heavy, just to highlight it up. See how good that looks. And The last step is we're going to put down a lot of glue, and we're going to put down our ballast, our flocking. I'm going kind of with a wasteland desert type theme, so I've got some good creek sand I've dried, and we'll put that down here in just a minute. Alright, so hopefully you can see all on my base I've put down this really thick Aleene's tacky glue, PVA glue, white glue, and I've got my ballast in here. So I'm going to put it in here, just going to drop it on good, and I'm going to try to do it pretty thick. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And it's alright if it's thick, we want it to look good. Now you can use whatever you want to. This is some creek sand I've got locally that I've dried out. And once this dries overnight, of course, we'll shake it good. We're going to let it get all in that glue. And this will really look good when it's said and done. Now you could even use grass flocking if you wanted to have grass, but wasteland ruins, I'm kind of using a desert type texture with this creek sand. Now you could also use kitty litter, and which is typically mostly gray, and you could paint it different colors. The nice thing about this creek sand is we're not going to have to paint it. It's got a good texture and a good variety of colors. And so let's see if you can see what we've done here. Alright, so we're going to let this dry, and then we'll take a final look at it. That'll be the end of this video. And you can see how inexpensive and relatively easy some little ruins are to make. The end of the video we'll do a few pictures and show it to scale with some Battletech miniatures. Alright guys, so here's the final clip. These have been completed. The flocking's been glued down. I went around the edges and hit it with some country tan to match the color scheme I was doing for the flocking. And that's about it. I may put some sealant on it that's safe for foam. But these are ready to go. I'm going to put a few photos at the end where you can see these to scale with some Battletech miniatures. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please post them below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. The next video I should be having through soon is I'm going to show you some destroyed Zentradi battle pods I've made for terrain. I think you'll enjoy that. So subscribe and be looking for that very soon. Thanks for watching. God bless.